On Lightshade and spawning over in the bottom right-hand side as our blue Terran playing for Team Liquid, it is uThermal.
And in the top left-hand side, the reigning champion, the Italian stallion, the Wonder Kid, or one of them at least. It is Reynor. Okay, Ben. We were talking earlier during one of the breaks about bolding and the ways that you can bold. And you were talking about the professor and the monk. I didn't quite understand what each meant, but maybe if you, which one's uThermal?
I think he's going to be going for the professor.
Nice.
Okay. So first and foremost, Kat, so you, like, as a non-bald man, you are now, because you have hair on top of your head. Are you sure you want to speak about these things?
I'm not sure.
It could come across a little insensitive, you know? Like, just then you point the finger at uThermal.
Oh, like, you're right. Well, he's a memester. I think he can handle.
Okay, so I mean, I'm not going to say what uThermal is or is not, but the monk, that's where you bold at the back, right? So you get that, you know, like the monks where they have the bold patch at the back, but it's kind of like intentional. And then the professor, that's the other one where you bold from the front.
Oh, okay. And you have the sides kind of receiving. Yes. The sides still work. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the professor and the monk.
Very cool. Thank you, Ben, for your insights. And I apologize for being insensitive. Next time we cast, I will be sure to meet you on the battlefield so that we can talk about these things without offending anyone.
Absolutely. I'm going to quickly close my window now that the fly has gone. And I will not freeze to death in this winter of Sweden. So take it away, Cats.
Alrighty. So it seems like a pretty standard opening on either side. Reynor has managed to get his third situated already, as uThermal's going to poke in with the first Reaper. Seems to have been a little bit delayed, but nothing major, as he is making a factory. One thing that I do want to touch on, Ben, is the fact that we have the two shortest maps to start off. I like these two maps for Terran. I like them for timings, and I think if uThermal's unable to take one of these two maps, it's just gonna be, you know, these are the two that I'm looking at for uThermal to get into the series.
Yeah, like I'm not going to beat around the bush. Like, Reynor is absolutely one of the best players on the planet. uThermal, he had this like recent arm injury, which kind of set him back a bit. But I feel he's getting well back on track, and you know, he is a bit of a memester, but he's also damn talented when it comes to micro and stuff. So if he can like get an edge at some point, he is good enough to lean on it and stay with that tempo against a player even as good as Reynor. Because I know when Serral's been like the top dog, and when he first came up, it was always uThermal that was able to kind of shunt him down a little bit. But that is a nice escape on that Reaper.
Yeah, with that said, I feel like a lot of the wins that uThermal did take against Serral were often with those proxy racks. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that could come out, but at the same time, I mean, if you're Serral, if you're Reynor, and you know that reputation, if that's the first thing that comes to my mind and to yours, and we can say it simultaneously, then they're gonna be on the lookout too, right?
Definitely. I also feel it's like a different meta of TVZ right now. Like, we're seeing more third bases than ever almost. Oh, I love this. Okay, uThermal going for a fast third TC, but also a 2 factory build. I think this is the kind of cheeky stuff that he actually needs to do to throw Reynor off in the series.
All right, Ben. How does this pan out? Why is this special? What is the good thing about this?
Okay, so he's killed the Overlord, means this won't be getting scouted again. That's great. Reynor is a guy that loves his lings. He likes to often delay his Baneling Nest. I say that and immediately makes one along with his lair, so that's nice and early for him. But given that he very often doesn't really go for Roaches, going for Blue Flame Hellion, which is probably going to be the thing here for uThermal, that can deal a lot of damage.
All right, if that is the case, then it's sounding pretty spicy. Some prophetic calls here as Blue Flame gets started, and yeah, there is many Hellions in production. This is going to be difficult to hold, and I love the plan from uThermal, right? Really exploiting his opponent, and this is what I was talking about before the series. I think he does have an opening because there's no pressure, and because you know, he's gonna be one of the smartest Terran players out there. I will say it again any day.
And there's also super cool things with this. So the Viking, we see that it was a Viking into a medevac. So this is going to... Oh, I wonder if that Link spotted that medevac. That would have been insane from Reynor. But he's clearing out the overlords to the main base. So he can fly in there kind of unscouted, untouched. And the timing on this armory finishing as well, so they can turn into Hellbats potentially.
Wow.
Super cool.
Super cool indeed, and there are no Banelings morphed just yet. Oh, there's 4 Banelings morphed somewhere, but they're certainly not in the main. As the Hellions are going to be dropped here, uThermal's going to go straight into that mineral line. Blue Flame not yet done, but that's okay.
It is
the
okay.
Other side, the other Hellions are about to reach a critical mass. Maybe these other 4 are going to come and join them for the frontal attack. There is Banelings, Ben. Is there enough Banelings? uThermal now has revealed all of his Hellions, soon to be Hellbats. Will Reynor have enough?
The really cool thing about... Look at this. He's going 3 Hellions at a time. Blue Flame is revealed now, getting stopped in the main base, but nice micro on both sides. Oh, that could have been disastrous for uThermal, but keeps all the Hellions alive. And Reynor, he's holding on very strong against this, because this is very weird by uThermal. But Reynor seems unfazed, and the follow-up from uThermal, he's actually going back into bio and getting Drilling Claws exceptionally fast. Such a strange build, but I love it.
Yeah, it's lovely indeed, but he hasn't really managed to find much damage, even after taking down those 4 Banelings, and that was such a scary moment indeed for uThermal going up that ramp. So maybe stop it in his tracks a little bit. And I mean, you called it. There wasn't really roaches being made. There was only 4 Banelings this time around, and still not able to capitalize on this section of the build at least. So let's see if the second punch is a little bit stronger. But I think uThermal can't be too happy with that, right?
I think he wanted to do pretty game-ending damage potentially. The Blue Flame Hellions, he's still got quite a number of them, and there's only Lings on the map. I mean, there's no roaches. Those Queens are all out of position, actually.
Where are the Banelings from Reynor?
They're just not there. They're not there.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a problem. Oh, so many Lings get roasted right away. These are Hellions with Blue Flame. But why aren't there any Banelings? There are, of course, no spines. The Queen's a little bit out of position, like you were pointing out, Ben. And uThermal's gonna finally perhaps find the damage that he was looking for. 2 Hellions get taken down there at the back. Reynor has some of the best drone micro in the world, but yet still is losing 13, 16. And that's now good enough for uThermal to work with.
By the way, the reason that this is all super duper crazy from uThermal, look at his SCV count behind all this. 75 SCVs. His macro has been absolutely phenomenal. One of the only things I can criticize is the fact that his 1-1's only just started. But with this amount of damage and the fact that he's actually going to start going into Drilling Claw Widowmine drops right now as a follow-up, he is looking phenomenal this game. This is the uThermal that we all wanted to see.
Absolutely. I mean, but really, Reynor should have had Banelings morphed. He is behind because he didn't have any Banelings, and I think that's just a little bit of an oversight on his side, uncharacteristic of his. These Widowmines are indeed going to do great, not just as the follow-up for the drops, but also against Ling Bane, or if Reynor was to go Muta later on. Widowmines are fantastic, and uThermal timing 2 attacks at the same time. Is he going to be able to find the damage on the other side? It looks like it, Ben.
This is really good damage from the Dutch Terran here. Oh, that was 3 places that he was Widowmine dropping. Great play by uThermal. I mean, that could have dealt quite a bit more damage, so nice drone pulls by Reynor, but man, uThermal is bringing a different pace of Terran to this TVZ entirely. How many drones have gone? 30 drones have gone down so far this game.
Jeez. Yeah, uThermal with a supply lead at the moment. Reynor still very, very good at spreading that creep, and he has done a good job of situating bases. So this game is not over. It's never over when you're playing the likes of Reynor and Serral, though his attacks and his opposing damage has been thwarted. A turret in the mineral line for uThermal is going to push that Baneling drop away, as the Dutchman seems to have covered every basis so far.
Yeah, he certainly has. He's 20 supply ahead. It's a little deceptive because he is behind in upgrades and will be for a little bit of time. And uThermal doesn't know what he's actually going to be up against. He's making a Thor here because he's still kind of under the impression that he's going to be up against Mutas, which we know he's not going to be because there's a Hive on the way, there's a Hydralisk Den on the way. And so far, he's only seen Mutaling Bane. Oh, will he spot this Overlord though? He will. uThermal is playing really good.
Yeah, and Reynor, I mean, this is not like the same Overlord drops that we saw from Serral, for example, where he was dropping 3 places at once. These are all drops at one step at a time, and it is really to the credit of uThermal. He has made this a very scrappy game even for the likes of Reynor, and he continues to keep on the pressure. As I said, he's supposed to have a hurt elbow or wrist or something. This man is playing out of his mind.
He should break his arm more often. uThermal pushing in to the 4th base of Reynor. And this is a hell of a lot of Terran. It's very much on creep. Reynor is trying to buy time here. His upgrades aren't quite done, so he doesn't really want to engage. He might actually have to give up this base entirely.
Yes, indeed. The creep is slow to recede, but it's now receding. This is a lot of banelings from Reynor, but push off of creep will be difficult. The Queen's anchoring and doing a little bit too much damage to those medevacs for the time being. Oh, the mines don't quite connect, and uThermal will finally be pushed back. But, I mean, no, okay, push back to these mines. Might still find some damage onto the veins. Okay, not enough.
Reynor is doing such a good job of cleaning up, but also just he bought so much time for 2-2 to finish there. He could have been, you know, like we saw Denver earlier, kind of pushed out before he was ready. But Reynor, he knew exactly how and when he wanted to take that fight. But, I mean, it's not over yet. uThermal is still very close to maxed. He's still doing the drops, still being aggressive.
Yes, indeed. One thing that you were pointing, though, Ben, he has invested supply onto units like Thor's. They're not going to be super useful against the Muta, and for the time being, I think they're just kept at his base defensively, and I'm not sure if he's forgotten. Oh, big.
This constant eco-harass that he's been doing, though, has been really good. Like, utilizing those 2 factories right from the get-go, and pushing again. So many queens and good transfusers across all of them, keeping all the queens alive pretty much.
Jeez, Reynor is just godlike at the macro department here. He has taken so much damage and is still sitting near 90 workers and max. Now, there is no creep spread, so things are going to get a little bit easier on the side of the map of uThermal if he can manage to continually apply that pressure. On the other side, a big drop, but it's going to be greeted by a large number of links already on the ground, and with this banelings, uThermal's going to be able to, or have to rather, forfeit this position. Reynor stabilized.
Not only stabilizing, I think he's getting a bit of a lead this game. The tempo of uThermal, while it's been incredible, Reynor's now shutting everything down, and he's getting to that stage of the game that I know you Lurker players know and love, but Lurkers with not only the range upgrade, but also getting adaptive talons.
And that is when the Zerg can really start getting aggressive and out on the map. Good Widow Mine there, but he's going to need a lot more than that. Pretty good sensor towers here. It really goes to show how small this map is. Nearly cutting the map in half with those 2 sensor towers, and now it's Reynor on the offense. Though he does not yet have adaptive talons, so perhaps getting a little bit ahead of himself, but certainly good enough to take control of this middle area of the map.
Definitely is. Both are around 200 supply here, getting in their tier 3 upgrades, like very, very close to. A nice run by at the top from Reynor, looking to deal damage here potentially. That is a scary number of lurkers. You have to respect it as the Terran.
Yeah. But well positioned is the army of uThermal. Is going to force some of the sieges earlier, and on the other side, finding some damage. 3 more drones, though those seem to have no effect on the Italian and how fast he remakes them to just stay on top of things. Loses 3, makes exactly 3 instantly.
uThermal's playing so fast, by the way. Like, a lot of players can't keep up with Reynor, but he's absolutely going toe-to-toe with him. They're both fighting everywhere on the map, grabbing the lurkers out of position here, scans them as well, focus fires them, takes them all out. Nice defense by uThermal. And he also gets the base in the bottom left, even utilizing the walls here.
Incredibly good defense. He knows from the sensor towers where the army of Reynor is or isn't, and pre-positions this army, so he's been there. I mean, it's so important, Ben. You know this more than most. Terran positioning is everything, especially when you're going up against lurkers. You can never concede any ground, and uThermal has been exactly in the right places to defend. So has Reynor, though. It's a great game.
Yeah, lurkers are a bit like swarm hosts in a way. They are much scarier when they're being aggressive than they are when they're being defensive. As soon as they start getting to your base and they start like getting into positions between your rallies and stuff, that's where you worry. So uThermal, he's trying to keep him back. He's actually producing 3 tanks at a time here. Big Widow Mine on all those Zerglings, though, will buy him quite a bit of time. But Reynor in 2 places at once with the lurkers now.
Yeah, and that's going to cost uThermal a little bit on this side. On the other side, he's looking to capitalize, but Reynor smartly backs. He says, I found my damage. I only need to do damage on one side and keep the rest alive. It's throwing that army away that would make things, playable for uThermal. Instead, uThermal's going to try to find his own damage on the other side of the map. He has done fantastic with this medevacs nonstop. But yeah, Reynor has been obviously amazing on defense, as you would expect.
Yeah, there's been lings absolutely everywhere, just defending. just like deflecting everything, even though they're both 200 supply and they're both been battering each other senseless. It really feels like there's no slowing down either player.
All right, these Lynx have often served for the Lurkers to get in position, but this time around it's just the Lynx. However, uThermal reacting maybe a little bit too much, moving a lot of his army north, and this might be where Reynor looks to seize that bottom position. I think uThermal's willing to give up that south base, and he's gonna focus on the defense here.
Yeah, these Lings are definitely getting damage done and having to lift up that base. It's definitely gnarly, it's definitely nasty. I fear for uThermal, because this game is getting to a point where Zerg can max out on super efficient units like Lurkers, like Banelings.
Yeah, good pickoff onto one of those Lurkers, but like I said, the south is now exposed, and Reynor doesn't even bother with the outside base. He just goes for the little choke. It's so important, and now he's gonna go south and swing onto that other base potentially, whereas uThermal is just kind of trapped playing catch up and playing trying to keep up with his bases, at least in the north, right? He has to secure some position, but how is he gonna find damage?
That's one of the things. I mean, Reynor, look at his bank as well behind all this cats. Like, he's getting up to 4k minerals and 2k gas very shortly. By the way, Reynor, he only just finished his Hydralisk speed upgrade and only just started his range upgrade now as well. So definitely neglected those upgrades a bit, but oh my god, the amount of damage that Reynor's doing. And he's even got Lurkers in between the bases. This is between the rally points. This is when it gets really difficult for the Terran.
Yeah, 92 workers for the Italian. He's finally gonna get cleaned out in one of these positions, but this is a great trade for Reynor. I mean, he has managed to contain uThermal now onto 4 bases. This is nowhere near where the Dutchman wants to be. He is 41 workers behind. He is now trailing in supply, and yes, he clears one wave of the Italian, but there's so much more coming, Ben.
This is so difficult. I mean, if this game doesn't, like, put a dent in Reynor's armor, what will in the rest of this series? Like, honestly, I really think uThermal played a great game, but Reynor, look at his side of the map. He has every base on Lightshade, and he's at 92 drones. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, and he has such good positioning. It seems like every one of his attacks is scary, and when it's not scary enough, he knows where the army is and retreats, and when he knows he can capitalize, he goes. And uThermal has been yo-yoed around this game towards the later parts of it, and it's just looking over as the Italian pushes on through. GG will get cold. Wow, what a game, Bill.
I love uThermal's reaction there. He pressed, the rewind button so you can see the supplies at the end, and kind of scoffed at himself a little bit. Because, yeah, I mean, it probably feels like you're dealing so much damage and slowing down your opponent so much. And then you see, like, oh my goodness, not only is he 200 supply, but he has a massive bank with it. Like, how do I beat this guy? And I really like the way that uThermal played that game. I think it was really smart. I think it was really good. But you need to do something. Like, Reynor, he almost feels like a Hydra, you know? Like, you keep chopping off the heads and it keeps getting bigger. Like, you really need to chop all of them off at once almost and kill him early. Otherwise, he just gets out of control.
Yeah, you really need to kill him like 5 times or something in order for him to actually die. And uThermal killed him like 4 times, if that was the analogy we were going with. So, making it close and I'm making it a great game. But Reynor, my God, he just looked unstoppable.
Yeah, I like, honestly, I really think Reynor is one of the scariest players in ZVT there is. I know Maru recently lost to Serral, like 2-1 in the King of Battles, and Serral did it in very Serral fashion. Like, they were good, close games, and he eventually, like, took him down. But Reynor really smothers you. Like, he really makes you feel like the way you're playing is not the correct way, even though it's the only way that you know how, you know? Like, it's brutal. And he does it with things like Lurkers that not a lot of other Zergs use either.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do? Just have like bunkers all over one side of the map, maybe PFs at chokes or something. You have to shut down one side of the map because Reynor is always looking when it gets to that macro game. He's looking everywhere and poking everywhere. And if your defense is not tight in one single location, then he'll exploit it. Yeah,
and like that game from uThermal as well, he showcased, like, remember the Widowmine drops that were happening all the time? Like 3 separate times in a row, it was like, 10 plus drones died to these Widowmine drops, but Reynor doesn't get phased. He just drones up again, spreads his creep, gets his units out, and he just has seemingly more than anybody else. It's ridiculous. But yeah, what does uThermal do differently from now on? Because he really pulled out a kind of prepared build there, and it went really well as well.
Yeah, it went really well, and it wasn't like his follow-up was weak, right? Every time we looked at something going on, uThermal had 2 medevacs on the other side too. He was looking for that damage too, right? It's not like I can think of much more that he could have done. If one of those medevacs on the other side would have found a base here and there, maybe, but you know, that's already asking so much when the Dutchman seems to be flying all over the place and keeping up with Reynor and making him work for it, and it's still not enough.
I think that's the thing that's very brutal about that game in particular was, you know, very often it can be like a player's dying slowly without like punching back at all. You know, like a boxing match where it's like, no, throw in the towel, man, throw in the towel. But it wasn't like that. Like it really was uThermal going absolutely toe-to-toe with him. Yeah. But when it really got to like, you know, the 8th round kind of thing, Reynor was just so far ahead and had so much more gas left over. Anyhow, spawning over in the bottom right-hand side as the blue Terran of Submarine of all maps, it is uThermal.
Okay. In the top left for Clash, it is Reynor. Italian rap, you know it.
Did you watch the rank roulette with Reynor and Harstem, or at least a little bit of it?
I haven't gotten to that one yet.
There is a certain clip that Kevin or Harstem posted on Twitter of like Reynor being like, "What the hell, Kevin?" But like the way that he says it just cracked me up.
Yeah. Reynor has a lot of really funny mannerisms and just ways of saying things. I think he feeds a lot of Harstem himself, so whenever they're in the same place, it gets super funny.
It certainly does. Certainly does. Oh, Submarine. You know, I while I know this map is good for Terran in this matchup, I feel that the lack of practice on this map, because I feel like everybody vetoes this map, means that I'm not quite as prepared. Like let's say you're Bly, right, on the ladder, and you know every other Zerg is vetoing Submarine, and you're the only Zerg that doesn't. So you actually get to practice ZVT more than any Terrans get to practice TVZ. I feel it can somehow play like a bit of a weird role like that. But also, if you know you're actually meant to win this map with your race, and then you don't, like psychological warfare, man. Like you get totally broken if that happens to you.
If you're not already broken from that first game, honestly. Like, do you just throw the towel after that? uThermal played so amazing, it cannot be understated. That takes a toll mentally too, right, Ben?
It does, and you just made me think, Cats. I haven't seen a true forfeit in like a stage match in a long time. Like Naniwa was the last time. I am just thinking, as StarCraft 2 players, we like pain, and we are not quitters, okay? So congratulations to all of you that have not quit in that regard. Love you guys.
And neither will uThermal.
No.
uThermal is now the fightiest boxer. I really liked your boxing analogy, but I think it was spot on, by the way. And we'll see. I mean, Reynor is the type of player that can certainly play to the map. So I wouldn't mind seeing something like a roach attack or something like that. But I think most likely we're just going to see him default to something like lurkers, maybe use him in drops or something more fun. He's actually going for an Overlord speed opening here, so very safe.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the maps where, given that it is shorter, attacks can potentially come faster, so it's good to make sure you know what you're up against pretty early. And this is definitely one of the maps where like 2-1-1 has been a thing, and then it's 2-1-1 into the weirdest things you've ever seen, like the TY game that Wardy brought up, where it was like transitioned to Starport Battlecruiser against Serral. But so far, uThermal's just playing it very, very respectfully, very simply. He's gone for double gas and most likely going for Banshee here as well.
Yeah, and we touched on this in the previous series. You were bringing up how Banshees can be really good against exactly what I was talking about. Maybe if Reynor was looking to play the map, looking to make some of those roaches, then the Banshees do serve that double purpose, right? Defensively and aggressively, though Reynor is going to spot them. So aggressively, unlikely that uThermal will find too much.
This is so brutal, by the way. Like that Overlord speed was perfect for scouting the cloak just as it happened, kind of thing. And uThermal, he has to go on with his plan. It's not like you can just cancel it all, because then it's like, oh, well, how do I slow down the Zerg now? It's like, well, you won't. You'll die. So he is going into this game now with kind of the ace of his sleeve, a little bit scouted, but that doesn't mean it's not going to deal damage. Like, 2 Banshees can always throw a spanner in the works, if you will.
Yes, indeed. His opponent doesn't necessarily know that Cloak will be kept either. I am surprised that the Reaper didn't stick around in that natural to maybe poke at a drone or even kill a drone of Reynor. But yeah, it's unlucky, right, Ben? It's like Reynor did the perfect build against Cloak Banshee to start, and it's just rough because this is the map that I was looking at for uThermal to maybe even things out and make this a series. It's gonna be difficult now. The Hellions are poking and they're finding decent damage onto some links, but not much more for now.
No. It's actually not a bad map for defending on, or spreading creep, as you will. There's like not that many upward ramps and stuff, and I really like the positioning of Reynor, by the way. He never seems like he's going to take a lot of damage from any of this. Oh, is there no Spore? Okay, it's on the wrong side, so this is nice and sneaky by uThermal.
Beautiful, yeah, because the Spore is where it needs to be from Reynor, right? Because you expect that's the entrance point for the Banshee, but uThermal actually going all the way around into the main, and we'll find a drone for his troubles. Not much more, though.
No. Definitely going to be looking for more. When the second Banshee joins the group of the first Banshee, that's when we can start being like, okay, this is where uThermal maybe needs to get a few drones. This is when he can maybe YOLO his Hellions at some point, or keep them alive. But 2 Banshees, one-shotting drones, that's a magic number. Nice creep spread denial.
Very, very nice. Over and over. And yeah, I like how much more diligent uThermal is, whereas Clem, for example, earlier, as good as he is, he was kind of using those Hellions a little bit too early before the Liberator would come in, right? uThermal is going to be very good at keeping these Hellions alive. He knows that this is how you punch Reynor, is by making him look at 2 places at once, potentially. The Banshees are going to find already 3 workers. Oh, that 4th worker gets taken care of. And let's see if he's able to do something with the Hellions at the same time as the Banshees go once again behind that natural base and onto the main, where there is a little bit of space exposed.
Yeah, that was nice tanking the damage with the Queen, because then it meant like less drones were dying. Oh my goodness. I feel like uThermal might be slightly broken here.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about it, Ben. I think I would be broken. You know, like the reason we're talking about the mental state of the player is because you look at that game as a player and you're like, oh, wow. And you mentioned that uThermal at the very end there with the rewind and just gasping. It's like, wow, I did everything I could. I left it all on the ground and it just didn't work. And I think that's what we're seeing here. We're going to go to a quick break, and then perhaps the last game of the series we'll have to wait and see.
Hello, hello, and what is the final match of the evening? This might be the final map of the evening also. uThermal's currently 2-0 down against Reynor, and in that second game gave a rather early GG as he got his Hellion surrounded. The Banshees didn't really get what he wanted done, and Reynor so far is just looking bulletproof, cats.
Yeah, he really is. I really think that second game and the way that it happened has a lot to do with the first game. We're watching a story unfold here, and I can't really fault uThermal. I feel a little bit bad for him because, Ben, like, I don't know that I've ever seen uThermal play that good of a TVC as we did in the first game. And you know, when you really play one of your best games out there and it's not enough, it's just gotta be frustrating.
Absolutely. And speaking of the man spawning over in the bottom right-hand side as the blue Terran, it is uThermal. Oh, look at him on his webcam as well. Like he's actually visibly tilted.
Yeah, literally tilted. And in the top left-hand side of the map, it is the champion. He will tilt anyone in the world. It is Reynor. Really, uThermal looking dejected. I don't think I've seen a player that just looks dumbfounded, right? Like he's not really. It doesn't look like his mind is really in it right now. He's like thinking about the last game, it almost seems.
Yeah, it looks like a... Okay, now he's kind of sitting up a bit like, I'm in a toilet. But no, I mean, he looks visibly defeated already. And I by the way, this game, I love the choice of Reynor going for the pool first here. Because if I am playing against somebody that, you know, GG'd out when he did and stuff, I would also be thinking, oh, this guy, he's probably going to be looking for a cheeky win here. Maybe some proxies come down. So... I love this little mix-up by Reynor, but it also shows he's kind of reading his opponent a little bit too, like his state of mind.
Oh, definitely. We were talking about it earlier too, right? We were saying like the way that uThermal was able to be successful oftentimes against Searle was with those proxies. And I mean, if you're feeling like there's nothing else that you can do, sometimes you look for that quick, cheeky win to get some momentum back, to make it feel like it's possible. Because at this point, you have to be the world or the European champion 3 times in a row, and that's
this could be a bit spicy though. uThermal going for the SUV Scout, and we do see that Reynor is going for a Roach Warren. So I mean,
okay. If I really hope that uThermal can win this game. No, surely he's gonna see it, Ben. Surely.
Yes, he is. I was so sad for a second there that things were gonna go from bad to worse for him, but he knows what he's up against. He's up against Roach Warren. He's up against roaches that will be coming. He is making a bunker on the low ground. Where's his first Reaper? His first Reaper's actually harassing on the other side of the map, which is all well and good. What's he doing against these Lings, though? Saves the first SUV that was building the bunker. Oh, this is always a bit gnarly how to deal with these properly.
Yes, indeed. The Reaper, I mean, he would have liked to stay back, but he knows that there's roaches on the way. This is still, I think, okay for uThermal. What I'm scared about is if Reynor somehow wins this game, Ben, because at this point, uThermal, if you're uThermal and you're going up against any other Zerg in the world, perhaps minus Searle, you've got to be feeling good at least about this situation. Yeah,
I mean, his opponent went for a pool first. He went for an SUV Scout, and then went for a Roach Warren of all things. I was kind of expecting Reynor to cancel the Roach Warren maybe when he scouted the SUV with the Overlord, but he didn't do that at all. And now uThermal, he's actually slowed this down enough and got a bunker up. And Reynor, he's pretty darn committed to this. Like, what's he going up to? Like 3-4 Ravagers maybe overall?
That's it. Yeah, but that's it. It's a fake committal, I think, and it's kind of gonna yield its benefits as uThermal has a bunker on the high ground. He expects that this will be an all-in. At this point, it won't be. It's just his 4 units.
Yeah. I mean, like uThermal is definitely in a decent position here, and he's respecting this, but he's not overreacting. He's actually going to kill one of these Ravagers with the Reaper, maybe. Bunker does fall, but these Zerg units are all deep in the red now, and uThermal shuts this down without a sweat almost.
Yeah, because there wasn't much to sweat about, right? Like, Reynor knew that he was scouted, so he thought, okay, I'm just gonna poke. And really, to his demise, kind of just sticking around. I think that it was good enough to just show those Roaches and Ravagers and keep them alive so that you have a little bit of space to work with. Instead, uThermal is gonna have the map to work with now. He's taking amazing trades with the bare minimum. If he loses this game, Ben, I'm actually scared for his mental state, because it's gonna be, he's just looking so good. But Reynor is the type of player that can win these games.
He certainly is. He certainly is. I love that he's so ballsy about having this Cyclone on the map. Oh, I thought he was going to catch that Overlord there to the left that just went over the mineral wall, but unfortunately will not. uThermal confident enough as well to throw down a third CC, which I like this. Now he's committing to the macro game. He's getting a stim. He's going back into Hellions. Sees that it's like Lings with speed. It's not Roaches being defensive. So he kind of knows this is going back into a normal game in which Reynor, I mean, he set himself back into the Stone Age, really.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a heavy investment for Reynor. He's also getting that link speed. I love what you said, Ben, because it's good that uThermal has the presence of mind to go out there with those Cyclones, right? He's saying, hey, you invested into Roaches. If you also invested into link speed this early, then, you know, that's kind of crazy, and you should just have no drones at all. So he knows that he can move out with this Cyclone, trying to look for maybe a Queen, a Roach, or an Overlord. Finally, link speed will finish for Reynor, and with that, uThermal is gonna be pushed back for the time being, but he's in a very comfortable economic position.
It definitely is. Reynor can catch up, though. Like, the way that droning works, like getting all that larvae, and having the Lings on the map will be kind of like a little bit of map control, unless the Hellion count gets pretty high, which up to 4, that's a reasonable count. Doesn't really want to be on the map too much with them. I love this wall off by uThermal, by the way. I don't see a lot of players doing that kind of stuff on this map, but definitely makes things a little bit trickier for the Zerg to do run-bys. Obviously, it's susceptible to Banelings later on, but that's a story for maybe later on as this game is developing.
Yeah, this is looking pretty good for uThermal. I think I would love to see him hit a sharp 1-1 timing that's just going to be so difficult for Reynor to stop given the start of this game. I love that uThermal is gutsy enough to move out with his Hellions again. And you know what, Ben? He's sitting up straight now. I like it.
He is. He's getting a bit more into game. These Hellions, though, are surrounded, and I mean, they would have been much better served, like, waiting for the armory to finish, to get the Hellbats going and stuff, because I like what you were saying, but 4 Hellions, like, in my head, it's like 6 is a scary number, 8 is very scary. 4, like, yeah, especially on creep, you just get kind of murdered like that, and the advantages that uThermal had this game, somehow, they're kind of just slipping away. And uThermal, even though we just said he's sitting up straight, I see it again. I see it again, you know, it's visible.
Yeah, it's the regret, right? Like, because, I mean, he knew that there were links left over even. So, yeah, this was more links than there were earlier. But I don't know, that kind of got checked with just the 4 Hellions when you know there's at least something like 8 links out on the map. A little bit sketch, and it's not gonna pan out. But let's see if the Dutchman can recover. He's still in a good position.
Yeah, it's not over by any means at all whatsoever. The thing is, it's just after that first game of the series where uThermal played seemingly the game of his life.
Yeah,
Reynor hung on and then got to a place where he was just, you know, he couldn't lose, and that's scary, man. Like, that will do this kind of stuff to you. It will make you feel hopeless. And I really talked about it before the series started. Like, Reynor does that to people, man. He just manhandles people.
He really does. He is one of the fastest players, and I think he's one of the smartest and most chaotic, kind of unpredictable, in spite of like how consistently good he is. I mean, that's such a difficult thing to do, is to be unpredictable or to be hardly predictable and to be consistent.
These tanks, though, like 3 tanks,
okay,
and getting up into a position like this is kind of scary. And that hatchery, that macro hatch, kind of serves as a bit of a funnel for these Lings and Banelings. So, Baneling speed just finished, though, and my god, the wraparound.
He is just so good, this man. I mean, that was a good position for uThermal, and it gets kind of taken down kind of easily by Reynor, who just seems to have exactly as much as he needs, exactly when he needs it. uThermal's gonna clean some creep back on the way out, but this is certainly the way out of Reynor's territory, at least for the time being.
Yeah, when you're dealing with creep that's getting to your side of the map, and it's like, yeah, I'm doing great, right? Well, it's like, well, you know, a 4th base is up behind this, a 5th base is most likely going up as well. uThermal's do. Okay,
good pickup.
That was literally the blink of an eye away from losing all those Marines, and you know, given how uThermal's feeling, it might have been a GG right there, but.
Yeah, I was expecting a GG a second from when he picked up, right? But then he picked up, and it's like, okay, he's still holding on. That said, he's holding on less and less as the game progresses, right? Like, He started off so great. Now Reynor, he seems to be back in control. He has amazing creep spread. He's taking his 5th base. And uThermal really struggling to find anything. I think this is going to be the last attack one way or another. Let's see if the Dutchman can put a dent and take a game from the Italian. It's going to be a very important attack. I don't see how the game transcends this point. I mean, there is, I guess, a command center in production. But someone's going to wipe someone right now, Ben.
Yeah, uThermal hasn't produced an SCV for quite some time now, and he's got a really good count. But he is absolutely looking to deal damage. He's also going into the 4s again, so he's expecting the mutas, but, you know, they're just... It's something that's never going to come. So not only is he in a position where he's behind now, actually, because he's 67 SCVs against 89 drones. Oh my god, Reynor's feeling so confident he's throwing down 2 Lurker Dens. I think, and I don't think that's a mistake, actually. I think it's to actually get both the upgrades at once, because he's so rich.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there, Ben. I think this is very true. And uThermal, I mean, he's going to try to pull back and take a 4th, but I'm not sure that that's the call. I mean, his army wasn't big enough. It's going to get surrounded here. He trades effectively, though, before picking up. So nice job by him. Not really picking up right away, but rather leveraging the medevacs and the surface area. And before those main links connect, he picks up. uThermal's doing as well as he can at this point, but it's looking harder and harder as it's now going to be Reynor on the offense, perhaps for the first time this map.
So Reynor's on 100 drones, like 101 drones. And the thing is, he seemingly has more army in both locations, even some drones joining over. He's like, hey, I've got so many drones, I might as well use them for offense, right? But okay, he does actually start adapted talons and the range upgrade. So he is that rich. He's got 3-3 on the way. He's even got a 3rd Evo with +1 range. uThermal, he's so kind of poor, so ransacked on minerals that hasn't even started his 3-3 yet. I feel that Reynor has every lead imaginable this game.
Yeah, and this is kind of what you were talking about, Ben. You reach a point in time against Reynor where he just makes you feel like you're not playing the game in the right way. And, you know, I try to think of something that uThermal could do here, but it's very difficult. In spite of being maxed, Reynor is just so very good, and he's gonna go with a big link run by 2 Widow Mines there. Present will scare away these links, and that's part of why uThermal doesn't really have a lot of army anywhere, is because he has little pockets to try and deal with this counter harassment. And hey, this is not gonna go too poorly for him, Ben, to start.
No, that was actually some great micro by uThermal. The 4s that I thought was a mistake, he actually soaked up a lot of the Banelings there.
Yeah.
The Widow Mines are getting constant trades here as well,
yeah.
which are very, very nice for him. One more Widow Mine shot does take down an Overseer, but I'm looking at these fights, and Reynor, even after all that chaos, he's still 200 supply cats. Like, we can't get away from the fact that he's at 99 workers, and his army is still seemingly winning the fights.
Yeah, I mean, that was the closest fight we've had so far, though. It was good trades for uThermal, and he's going to use it to take a 6th. I think if this trend continues, then it's good for uThermal, but, I mean, can you keep up this trend? It's going to be increasingly harder. Very good Widow Mine positioning. Ben, I think he's gaining some position here, the Dutchman. There's a counter attack. It's huge on the other side, but extra mines and this wall are finally coming into play as well. Good moves from uThermal.
They certainly are good moves. They certainly are. The Ling Run by not really getting that much done. And he takes out this base. uThermal is putting on a lot of pressure on the young Italian here, and he's getting close to the bases. His army is also evolving. It's getting into Liberator tech and such. Yeah. But Reynor, he's now going to hit the magic unit here. Like, he hasn't used it at all this game so far. Lurkers, they have the double upgrades already. He's at 3-3 before uThermal as well. This is the scary part.
Yeah, but uThermal's out on the map right now. It's not going to be too easy for Reynor to get those... Okay, there's the Lurkers already finished, actually, defensively, so that's going to push uThermal back. And like I was saying, though, Ben, I mean, those 2 last attacks, I think, were good for uThermal. Off of that, he has situated his 5th base. He killed a base. He made the creep recede. Now it's about the timing of Reynor, where he is going to be on the offense with those Lurkers, most likely. What does uThermal have to do to thwart these attacks?
This is when it's really hard, man. Like, Zerg, when they hit this spot, like, look at his bank. Like, he can throw away units. That's the scary part. uThermal cannot. And the creep, it's so well spread here. Lurkers feeling so ballsy they can just kind of run at the army of uThermal. And all of a sudden, uThermal just lost 30 supply, doing a big doom drop in the main base, but Reynor's there.
The last medevac dies with 7 Marines on it. That's nearly like half of the army here. So Reynor is continuing to push on forward as he identifies that most of the army of uThermal has been dealt with on his own side of the map. And yeah, uThermal trying to look for whatever damage he can, but Reynor is pushing on through. Does uThermal have enough? It seems like he will with a tank joining the fray and a few marauders spawning. This is still very much a game.
It is, but I'm just looking at these banks again, Cats, and I feel that Reynor moving back there was almost kind of like a mercy, you know, like when the Emperor's asking, and look at uThermal on his webcam. Everything's getting deflected. Everything's getting torn down. He's not stopping the growth that is Reynor on the map right now. Reynor, there's just so much of him. And even though 12 drones fall, which in most cases would be a big deal, in this case it's not. Look at this. There's just too much of him.
Yeah, this base will get taken down almost for sure. I mean, it's not a huge amount of units. At least he has a command center ready to be replanted on location. At the same time, uThermal is looking for bases off Reynor, but Reynor has lurkers there in place, in position. Of course he does. The Liberator sieges onto a spore, not what you want to be doing. And the army and the attack of uThermal will get thwarted while he loses a base on his side. This might just be it, Ben. It's not looking good anymore. And uThermal put up a great fight in games number 1 and 3, but unfortunately, Reynor looking just